Welcome to my collage studio. Today I'm just going to run through a couple of different sorts of glue which you can use in collage. I'm not going to run through every sort of glue that's available on the market, so I'm hoping that you go away and have a play and find your own preferred adhesive. The main thing I want to draw your attention to is the difference between a dry glue and a wet glue. So a dry glue has no effect on the paper that you're sticking things onto. Therefore, it's really good if you're sticking things into your sketchbook, and it's a very easy to control glue. So the most popular glues that you will have probably used loads already is a glue stick, which is easy to transport and easy to use. The one thing I would say with glue sticks is that you have to be really careful to keep your hands clean and to only apply the glue to the bit of paper that you're sticking down. If you get glue stick all over your sketchbook page, it has a tendency to gather dirt and fingerprints and all kinds of revolting marks that you don't want on your page. So the rule is to keep your fingers really clean, and I usually use a separate piece of paper to make sure it's stuck down rather than my fingers. So if there's any dirt on my fingers, I don't transfer it to the page. There are alternatives to these glue sticks. The most beautifully packaged I've discovered is this Italian glue. It's called Cocoina. I may have pronounced that wrong. And it's a completely eco glue. So it's only made from, I looked this up on the internet, natural biodegradable ingredients, and the main which is potato flour, and then natural plant-based moistening agents and natural preservatives and almond fragrance. So it smells really nice and completely non-toxic. So I've just been experimenting a bit with this glue, and it's beautiful to use. Okay, so you get your little application brush, paste the back, turn it over and stick. Really nice effect, so I'm definitely going to be using that one more. Okay, so those are two examples of a dry glue. When you're using a wet glue, if you don't prepare your surface properly, if you're sticking onto paper, it may start cockling and undulating, and there's the ways we can avoid that happening. The easiest of which is to work onto either a very expensive paper or card, or a hard surface, or you can stretch your paper. And for years as an illustrator, that's what I did when I was using collage. I would stretch batches of paper onto piles of board, and so I always had 5 or 6 stretched pieces of paper ready to use in my studio. I've made a separate video on how to stretch a piece of paper. So once your paper's stretched and it's dry, then when you use a wet glue, you apply it, leave it to dry completely, and when it's dry, it won't affect the paper, and you can cut the paper off the board and still have a lovely flat piece of paper. So I use a crafting glue called Mod Podge, but for years I used really very cheap PVA glue, and I just mix a bit of the Mod Podge or PVA with a little bit of water, so it's a kind of creamy consistency, and then I work onto my stretch paper. Again, a really important thing is to keep your fingers nice and clean. If you get glue everywhere, you'll start transferring dirty marks to your surfaces. Okay, so the way I've been working as an illustrator for the past 20 years, it's pretty much like preschool art lesson. I use extremely cheap glue, I use extremely cheap paintbrushes, and I use recycled collage material from old magazines. So there's nothing fancy in the way I work, it's just how you choose and select your fragments which makes your work interesting. The other thing you can do if you don't want to stretch paper is just collage onto a harder surface or a thicker surface that is not going to cockle. So recently I've been using 3mm ply, laser ply, to stick onto, and that's great for me because after I finish my collage I can take the work into the laser room and cut around my collage, and that's the reason I've started using board. Okay. You can also use other sorts of hard material, and really thick cardboard to collage onto. Wallpaper paste is also excellent as a wet glue, as is rabbit skin size, but rabbit skin glue obviously comes with a health hazard warning that because it's using animal substances, you have to take great care of it and not leave it sitting around. So just for ease, I find PVA and Mod Podge the easiest glues to use for my work. I hope that helps. Hope you go away and find your favourite glue.